and thank you so much for being with us on this Labor Day Monday. September 1st is here, a new month, the unofficial end to summer, but as you will hear, not quite the case for many of our regions across the West Coast. Welcome to Weather Out West, our hour-long show where we will showcase everything that's happening weather-wise across the western United States, from the Pacific Northwest to the Southwest, everything in between. I'm your host, meteorologist Leah Pizzetti. Once again, thanks for being with us on this Labor Day Monday. We will start today in Spokane, where eastern Washington is bracing for heat as we head into the next couple of days. Let's get to our meteorologist in Spokane with a look at the forecast.
I'm meteorologist Michelle Boss in Spokane, and we are in weather impact alert mode here in the inland Northwest, mainly because of high heat, though fire weather will also likely be a concern this week as we have very hot, dry and potentially unstable conditions. But we are looking at extended heat wave through much of this week with high temperatures in the mid-90s to low 100s, which in late July and early August might not be so unusual, but this time of year, that's about 15 to 20 degrees above average. So even hotter temperatures today than what we saw yesterday. Spokane's high yesterday was 95 degrees. It looks like we're going to be in the upper 90s today. And again, that heat wave continuing through Thursday. We'll probably still get another 90-degree day on Friday, but it does look like things will finally start turning around and maybe cooling down a little bit towards the weekend. And right now, models are hinting that we could see significantly cooler weather, at least back down into the 80s for Saturday and Sunday, especially if we get some showers in. And it does look like we have the chance to see a little bit of wet weather, and that will certainly help things out, at least cool things down. But if you can get on the water today, that is definitely the place to be on this Labor Day with hot weather all throughout the region, any of the area lakes and rivers. But particularly at Lake Coeur d'Alene, we're looking at highs in the mid-90s today, partly cloudy skies this time of year. Water temperature pretty comfortable in the lower 70s. Winds will be variable at 5 to 10 miles per hour. All right, here's a look at the weather trend for the next 7 days. This is pretty crazy for early September. Again, as average highs are in the upper 70s. We are 15 to 20 degrees above that and looking at an extended period of near record high temperatures. In fact, the record highs for this time of year are between 96 and 99 degrees, or at least for this week. So it is very likely that one or several of these days will either tie or break some high temperature records in Spokane. As I mentioned, it looks like Friday we'll start to see things maybe start heading in a downward direction with highs still in the 90s, and maybe get one more day on Saturday in the 90s. It depends on whether or not we get some showers in and how early in the day we could see that. But it does look like a more significant cool down by Sunday that should drop us back down into the 80s. Now, this particular heat wave is slightly different from the one that we saw last week, where they saw the really hot temperatures in Portland and Seattle. It looks like they're going to be spared the worst of the heat by this round due to this upper level low pressure system off the coast. But that heat dome here in eastern Washington extending all the way up into southern British Columbia. So we're looking at lower 90s up there as well, but middle to upper 90s, even lower 100s all across the inland Northwest for several days. And then even looking beyond the 7-day forecast, for now it does look like, well, this map is showing precipitation, but above average temperatures expected for that 8 to 14 day period. That's September 8th through 14th. And then precipitation does like we may see a little bit wetter weather conditions during that time period. But September is our third driest month. So even if we have a little bit more wet weather, it's probably still going to be a pretty dry month. All right, a few statistics on the hot temperatures. We average about 23 days of highs at 90 degrees or more. So far, it's been a pretty tame summer. We're up to 22 days, including yesterday's high of 95. We've got a string of 90-degree temperatures expected for this week, so we're certainly going to be adding to that. We have not hit 100 yet in Spokane, and I don't think we're going to see 100 at the Spokane airport, but some of the surrounding areas, the Spokane Valley, the downtown area, will likely see temperatures up around 100 degrees. The hottest temperature so far this year has been 97, and I think we're probably going to beat that over the next couple of days. All right, future tracker showing mainly dry conditions, partly cloudy skies for today, mostly clear skies tonight. And as we head into Tuesday, it looks like plenty of sunshine all across the region. Wednesday is looking pretty sunny as well. So taking a look at temperatures for today. Lower 90s in Moses Lake, maybe a little bit hazy out there. That's why the temperature's a little bit cooler. 98 in Grand Coulee, 97 in Colville, and then in the upper 90s in Spokane and St. John, St. Mary's, 98 degrees, Wilbur 94, 100 degrees in Lewiston. They've already had previous 100-degree days, 98 in Libby and 96 in Bonners Ferry. Here's a look at the extended forecast. Weather impact alert for this next 4 days of this heat wave with highs in the upper 90s, and then it looks like finally some relief on the way for the upcoming weekend.
Thanks so much. And the heat is also going to settle in Idaho as well, just next door. Let's now get to our team in Boise. Hector Mendoza is on the ground in Boise with a look at the heat that is heading our way in Idaho.
Hello, I'm Hector Mendoza, forecasting out here of Boise, Idaho, and taking a look at some of the temperatures as we are getting in the first day of September. These are some of the average temperatures we're looking at. So the high temperatures get anywhere between the upper 80s to start off the month and down to the mid 70s as we get towards the end of September. Low temperatures start off into the upper 50s in terms of those average low temperatures and go all the way down to the upper 40s. Then when we look at average precipitation for September, we get just shy of about a half an inch of precipitation. And then the hottest day has been back in 2022, which hit 104 there in the middle of September. So that's pretty much as hot as we get here in September. But as we look at some of the temperatures for today, we're going to get very close for many spots here in the Treasure Valley. Boise gets close to that century mark, so we hit off the month of September with some very hot temperatures into the next couple of days. Now this weekend we saw some smoke and hazy conditions. That'll continue and persist into the first couple of days of the week. And because of the dry conditions and the very, very intense heat that we're going to be seeing, we're going to stay with very high fire danger that remains through the next couple of days and possibly into the rest of the week. So as we look at what we're expecting today, 99 degrees, well above that average, inching closer to that 102 record that was set back in 1945. And we're going to continue with some of these very hot temperatures into today. And as we take a look back to last year on the first day of September, we hit 99, so pretty much the exact same look as last year with slightly warmer temperatures in terms of those low temperatures, which last year hit 61. Today we got into the upper 60s for today. And again, those average temperatures here for the month of September to start off, we hit into those upper 80s. But as we look back at other Labor Days, how we fare with the warmest, we've seen that we're going to expect to hit 99 degrees for today. Back in 2007, those temperatures hit at 101 for the warmest temperatures. Coldest, which is nowhere near where we're expecting to get at, not even the low temperatures got there. Back in 1887, hit 33 degrees, and the wettest there was back in 1908, hitting just a little shy of under 3/4 of an inch of precipitation. So that's exactly what we saw around that time. And then as we get into tomorrow, we are expecting to see some very hot temperatures to linger as we have some spots approaching record high temperatures. So as we look here in Boise, 99 degrees again, the expected high for tomorrow. 101 is that record, so just not too far away from that. 101 Ontario is expected to hit there, so surpassing and setting new records is what's expected into tomorrow. 89 degrees, which is still a ways away from 94, but still about 2 degrees shy from that record they're set back in 2009 out in Twin Falls. So again, warmer temperatures, and we're going to continue there in that moderate or yellow category due to the smoke that's going to continue to make its way through, and that's through this morning and in through this afternoon as we're going to have some winds that come in later on in through the evening. And then as we take a look at the Treasure Valley, expecting the lower Treasure Valley to hit some of that storm chance later on into the afternoon. It'll be slim, but still areas there in Caldwell and Nampa possibly getting some precipitation as we get on towards the rest of the day. And then we're expecting to see some of that clearing with some more of that precipitation coming along and some storm chances as we get closer into Tuesday. And now as we look at the 7-day forecast, we're going to continue with those hot temperatures. We're going to see those hazy conditions stick around into Tuesday, and then we'll see some clouds start to build up, and then those temperatures will slowly start to climb down from those upper 90s down into the low 90s as we wrap up the work week. We'll see a little bit more of that sunshine as we get closer into Friday, and then we see some clouds that make their way on through, and we are anticipating a chance of some showers that do come along, and those cooler temperatures do come along Saturday and into Sunday. So we go from the upper 90s to start off the week, and then to end off the weekend, we get down into the mid 80s there for Sunday.
Thank you, Hector. Thank goodness for that little bit of a cool down. Up next after the break, we are going to head to the Golden State. It may be September, the unofficial end of summer may be here, but it is not going to feel like it in the Golden State as well. We will have your forecast for California after the break. Welcome back to Weather Out West. Labor Day weekend, you're planning a trip, finding a place to go. San Diego may be at the top of your list for destinations. Of course, many people flocking to Southern California to enjoy the beaches, wrap up summer. But as meteorologist Evan Narani shows us, there are some hazards that are coming with those beach locations. Plus, we're keeping an eye on heat in Southern California as well.
Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Evan Narani in sunny San Diego. Labor Day is here and it looks like it's going to be a fantastic one across our county. The biggest thing we're going to be watching for is an uptick in temperatures that takes us to the warmer than normal range. You saw that view of our beaches. It's fantastic. From the start of the day, sunrise, we just had a thin layer of clouds that cleared out very quickly. Now back to sunshine for the remainder of it. We've got two things to mention as far as alerts go. Want to take you to the coast first with a beach hazard statement in effect. The second thing worth mentioning is a heat advisory. I know we've had plenty of days in the last several weeks where that's been something to watch for. This is yet another stretch where we're going to be watching for some hot temperatures. So out along the coast, the beach hazard statement is in play until tonight at 11 p.m. with some 3 to 5 foot waves, sets of 6 foot waves possible. That means that there are going to be some waves that are going to reach above people's heads, which is why we always suggest if you're getting in that water to check in with a lifeguard, especially if you're not an experienced surfer or swimmer. The risk of rip currents remains high. And remember that UV exposure is also very high. So if you're getting in the water, reapply that sunscreen once you get out and just be reapplying as frequently as you can. You want to avoid any of those burns. Even in areas where temperatures are in the 70s or more mild, we are still expecting that UV exposure to be high. Here's what it looked like earlier this morning. Like I mentioned, sunrise 6:24 for that hour, that 6 o'clock hour and 7 o'clock hour. We did have some of that cloud cover to contend with. Now we're back to blue skies. Sunset not coming until 7:13. When we look at your afternoon highs, the reason why we have that heat advisory inland is because of the difference we have in temperatures from the coast to our inland valleys. 77 in Del Mar this afternoon versus Ramona, for example, all the way out eastern Ramona. 98 this afternoon, 92 in Fallbrook, 94 in Escondido, and 99, perhaps 100 degrees this afternoon in Campo. So just goes to show how the coastline is enjoying much more mild temperatures thanks to that sea breeze and onshore flow. Everywhere east of the coast is where we see issues related to heat. So potential for those temperatures to climb to about 5 to 10 degrees warmer than normal. Today and tomorrow are your hot days, but that beach hazard statement is only in play along the coastline for today. That's why we highlight it in red. Today is a weather impact alert day along our coastline as temperatures not only exceed normal, but because of that beach hazard statement, that 6 foot wave potential, that's why we see that day highlighted in red. When we look through the rest of the week and the weekend, we see that drop in temperatures that takes us from 81 down to the mid 70s, so much more manageable cool range. We'll see that inland as well as we see a drop in temperatures starting mainly on Wednesday, but you see how even Tuesday and Wednesday we'll see kind of a drop in temperatures. Tomorrow could be the hottest day to watch for, and then a drop that takes us to about a 10-degree cooler range into the upcoming weekend. Today and tomorrow are the days that we have in effect right now for that weather impact alert because the heat advisory that we have expires Tuesday evening. Now, if we see that heat advisory extended through Wednesday, there's the potential that we will highlight that in red as well, just because of how hot it's still expected to be in that window. You'll also notice partly cloudy skies Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe even Friday. Right now, it seems like Wednesday and Thursday are the best days to see those clouds develop and potentially get some thunderstorm potential. Humidity is going to be picking up not only tomorrow afternoon, Tuesday, but also through the rest of the week. And that means we'll feel a bit more muggy out there, so you'll feel humidity. And there's a chance that we see a pop-up shower or thunderstorm develop across the mountains, maybe make its way west or east. So for Labor Day, we're mainly dry today. We're hot. We're cooling down progressively through the rest of the work week. And then by the weekend, we're back to mainly dry skies at a much more manageable range as far as your temperatures go, just double digits across those deserts. Back to you.
Thank you, Evan. Now let's head up I-5 to Northern California, where heat is also arriving and staying in the Golden State up to the north. Let's now get to meteorologist Rob Carlmark in Sacramento with a look at the heat alerts that are in place around Northern California as well.
Hello, I'm ABC 10 meteorologist Rob Carlmark out here in Northern California, and our forecast locally is a very familiar one. It gets hot around here in the summertime. It always does, but we've had up until a few moments here and there a really nice summer. A lot of days below average, and for us that means in the 80s. And then a lot of days where we've been hot. Triple digits is not uncommon here at all, and we've been doing that around here lately over this Labor Day weekend. Now, with that said, we're going to start to ease away from that forecast very slowly. We're still looking at 90s, but by the end of next week, we're looking at going back to the 80s as the days get shorter, and that's more or less what we typically see this time of year. We've got the early morning fog. The valley is going to be again hot today. Foothills very warm, 90s, and the Sierra is dry for now, but showers and thunderstorms could be coming back. It's kind of nice checking in here on this Monday because we've got a nice look at how the month has gone. We've had more days than not above average, that's upper 90s and triple digits, but a lot of days below average. It's just until recently that we've seen a lot of those hot days. But in Sacramento, the latest triple digits on record is October 10th, 1991. So we have technically 39 days since we've seen or that we could see triple digits happening. So I think for sure we're going to start to ease back, but we always have that in the background that we could be looking at hot weather coming back after we start to cool down locally. Now, our fire season has been not that bad. We've had a couple that have gotten away from us, and when we update these numbers later on today, I do expect the acres burned to go up because we have a couple fires that are absolutely still ongoing, far northern California, and then also one near Fresno in the mountains there, and that's producing some locally thick smoke, but for the most part, what we've not seen so far this year is widespread, majorly smoky days. That's something that can happen. It's been in the news so many times, but it hasn't happened so far in 2025. Very early morning look out there. You can see that the lights are on. The sun is not up yet, but we're looking at pretty good air quality, except for those localized, very smoky spots just downwind of some fires. For our big local lakes and reservoirs, the numbers look really good. Every single year, since it doesn't rain around here during the summer, these numbers go down for evaporation and water use for agriculture. But I would say, all things considered, there's still plenty of water in the lake. So going into our rainy season, which usually starts right around October, we are in really good shape for water, at least in California. Some of the things that we're looking forward to, we're going to get a really nice onshore wind. The ocean is very cold, so when the wind blows over the ocean, it cools us down at night. So that's the first step in this cooling process that we're really looking forward to. And it's going to be slow, but we're certainly going to get some localized effects of that starting to cool down overnight into the low 60s and 50s. And for the Sierra, a dry day. Once we start to see the Sierra showers and thunderstorms this time of year pop back up, it's a big concern for dry lightning because that could start a fire very quickly. We do have a heat advisory. It's very low level at this point, just letting everybody know, hey, we're going to hit highs near the triple digits, early morning lows in the 60s, so it's going to be warm in the morning, hot in the afternoon. But this is something that's happened many times so far this year. So at this point, people know exactly what to do. Take it easy in the late afternoon. You only have to ride it out for a few short hours in the late afternoon because these days are so much shorter than right in the middle of summer. So on this first day of September, some hot temperatures for sure, triple digits plus. Everyone's going to take it easy, but the good news, like I mentioned, we're going to get an onshore wind late in the day. So it's going to be hot, triple digits for about 3 hours or so, and then fairly quickly cooling down. Watch out for showers and thunderstorms coming back in the mountains as soon as Friday, but it could even be earlier than that. Over the next many days, we're watching the temperatures rise, and we're going to be triple digits today, 90s tomorrow.
Hopefully we get through those triple digits. Thank you, Rob. Still ahead after the break, we are going to head to Phoenix, speaking of triple digits, in Colorado as well. We're keeping an eye on how the monsoon will play out this week, plus a little bit of relief coming for those areas as well. Stay with us. That's coming up after the break. Welcome back to Weather Out West. Thanks for being with us on this Labor Day Monday. We're now going to send things to Phoenix, where Jen Wall is in Arizona, keeping an eye on a little bit of some relief heading our way in the hot state.
Hey, good Monday to you. I'm meteorologist Jen Wall here with a look at your Labor Day forecast. Yeah, it's been a pretty decent weekend across the state. Temperatures a few degrees above average. You're waking up to a warm morning in Phoenix. Take a look, 90 degrees. My goodness. Temperatures will decline throughout this week, though. So if you're not digging this, just give it a day or two. Upper 60s, beautiful in Prescott right now. Low 70s, Sedona. Upper 40s, Flagstaff. I mean, we have temperatures all over the place this morning. Southwestern Arizona in the upper 80s, western Arizona in the low 90s. Excuse me, valley temperatures, a mix of upper 80s and low 90s as we kick off your week. And wind speeds, it's kind of breezy out there. Yeah, with a little bit of that moisture, we're getting some wind speeds at about 15 miles per hour right now. And those dew points, they're pretty high. Now, storm chances, unfortunately, are not so great across the lower deserts today. Not out of the question to get an isolated storm across the valley later this afternoon, early evening. So we'll keep watching for that. But we do have the moisture. We just need a little more energy from the atmosphere. Now, for the next 3 days, you can see temperatures in western Arizona, the lower deserts. Yeah, they're topping out pretty high today, but we're down to the triple digits, even some 90s out there by the middle of the week. White Mountains will eventually get down to the 70s from the 80s kicking off today. Here's a look at your satellite radar picture. We're pretty dry across the state, just a little bit of moisture far southeastern Arizona, but we're going to be watching all of this very closely. Take a look today. Your best storm chances, they remain very isolated, but in the high country. Now, these are the monsoon storms we will be watching out for because we could get some outflows from this stretching all the way down to the valley. That's what gives us that very isolated storm chance late afternoon, early evening. Now, by tomorrow, cloud cover increases across the state, and we'll check out your storm chances in just a second. But your monsoon meter for today, we're at a 2 in the valley, a 0 in western Arizona, 1 southeastern Arizona, and then northern Arizona rim country. Gila County, that's where you have the best chances. I know we're still just at a 2 overall, though, for the northeastern part of our state. But that's where we'll be watching for those best storm chances to fire up. And then again, that isolated chance across the valley. Today, we do have an air quality alert. Want to let you know about that. That's going to be in effect until tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Your high today in Phoenix, 108. That's about 4 degrees above average. So it's a warmer end to the week, but temperatures, yeah, they're trending down this week. As you can see here, we'll be at 105 by 2 p.m., 107 by 4 p.m. I mean, it's great pool weather across the desert. It's definitely hot, but not too hot. We're looking at 109 Gila Bend today, 89 Prescott, 112 Parker, 85 Show Low, 95 Winslow, 82 Flagstaff. Across the valley, you can see a mix of 107s and 108s for the most part, especially in the West Valley, 106 Sun Lakes, Chandler, 105 Mesa and Queen Creek. Again, we'll have passing clouds today. Watching out for that very isolated storm chance. Sunrise this morning, 6:03. So take a look at your 7-day forecast. Okay, we watch those storm chances stay at about 20%. So very isolated through Wednesday with daytime highs dropping closer to average. That drop for temps continues by the end of the week. You can see we're wrapping your Friday, your work week in the upper 90s with storm chances at about 30%. That continues through Sunday when we start to dry out. Flagstaff, take a look. 80s today, 50% chance for storms tomorrow, 70 on Wednesday. Yeah, we're watching high country for great storm chances and cooler temps this week.
My goodness, double digits. Is it too early to say the worst might be over? Thank you so much, Jen. We now want to send things over to our team in Denver, who's keeping an eye on a similar cool down as we head into the week and how the monsoon plays into the forecast for the great state of Colorado.
Hey, it's meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen out here in Denver, Colorado, looking at your forecast for the state. And we're going to start to dry up a little bit and warm up. But in Denver, we are riding an unusual cool stretch, a summer cool stretch we don't see too often. The last 10 days, our high temperature has been below normal, and we could add one more day of that going into the week, but it looks like we're going to break that up. And as we get into the week, we're going to start to add these weather data to our fall records, because September 1st is the first day of fall in meteorological records. So happy meteorological fall, everybody. And that also means we can close the book on our summer records here in Denver. It was a warm one, so 72.6 degrees is pretty warm, but the last 10 days did knock us down to the 27th warmest all time. But considering our records go back 154 years, that's still a pretty warm summer, and I think people do remember that despite the last 10 days of pretty nice weather. Also, we had a very wet August, and that boosted our overall precipitation for the summer up to 19th wettest of all time. So a warm and a wet summer overall. Now, our weather pattern is going to change a little bit. The overall weather pattern across the country is not going to change too much. But for the state of Colorado, this will be big as this high pressure system just kind of shifts a little bit and weakens, and that will eliminate some of that really good monsoon moisture that's been coming across the state of Colorado. So at least here, we're going to dry out significantly. Our temperatures will warm up just a little bit as they get another dose of cooler weather out there towards the northeast. But this is our 7-day extended forecast here in Denver, and it looks really nice. We have those temperatures riding the low and middle 80s all the way across the week. Very low rain chances, mostly sunshine. It is what we would consider very typical for the first week of September in Denver, Colorado.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. Happy Labor Day to you, Colorado. We are experiencing some very seasonal conditions this year. The average high 85, the record was 99, set 2 years ago back in 2023. Now, I want to look at what we've seen so far this summer as we unofficially ended, that is. Our average temperature at 72.6 degrees, making it the 27th warmest summer on record and the 19th wettest. We saw quite a bit of precipitation fall in the late part of August. So welcome to September, everyone. It is the official start of meteorological fall. What that means, it's the first day of September through the end of November. But our actual autumnal equinox, that occurs on September 22nd this year. So what's the difference here? It has to do with this position of the sun when it crosses the celestial equator. That will be on September 22nd for the northern hemisphere. Means the day and the night roughly around the same length. But in terms of meteorological terms, it's dictated by the temperature, which seems to make a little more sense, at least in my eyes. So as we get through fall, that's officially through the end of November. Winter starts in December, and we are experiencing some very seasonal conditions. Still, we'll see the leaves change slightly earlier in the high country, but as we begin the month of September, looking very normal for this year.
Thank you so much. Up next after the break, we are going to head back to the Great Pacific Northwest, where normal and comfortable are two words you will hear there as well. Really spectacular conditions in Oregon and Washington. We'll have those forecasts next. Plus, coral reefs are critical to the health of the ocean. They cover less than 1% of the seafloor, but support about 25% of all marine species. You can see them off the coast of Florida or similar tropical areas, and now in San Diego's Birch Aquarium. Later on, we will take you there. Welcome back to Weather Out West. I'm your host, meteorologist Leah Pizzetti. We're now going to send things to the Pacific Northwest. We will start it off in Portland. Meteorologist Rod Hill is keeping an eye on the really nice Labor Day Monday in Oregon. Rod.
On this Labor Day in Portland, we have a really nice, comfortable Monday holiday down in our area. We're looking at completely dry weather. We've started off with marine clouds, meaning low cloudiness across much of the beaches and much of the Willamette Valley from Salem up through Portland and Vancouver. But afternoon sun is coming, and for Portland and Salem, we're looking at low 80s. So that's a really nice day, and we're going to stay dry across all of Oregon today. A couple of things I want to get you caught up on. Our active large wildfire map, which for this time of the year is still fairly quiet. We have seen the number of currently burning fires increase because we've actually had quite a bit of lightning scattered about over the past couple of weeks as a whole. Our largest fire in Oregon continues to be the Flat Fire. This is the one burning in the resort areas of Central Oregon, just outside of Sisters. But the news is really good. 23,000 acres have burned, yes, but the fire hasn't grown much at all for the past week, and containment grew over the weekend, now up to 52%. Evacuation orders have been dismissed, and even the smoke from the fire seems to be laying down. So that's thumbs up, good news. The second one, the Immigrant Fire, which is down here in the southeastern corner of Lane County outside of Eugene, continues to grow, 21,000 acres. Remember, this fire, which has no containment, is burning in timber in the Cascades. Still our biggest smoke maker across Oregon, and the word now is, and this is not surprising, likely to burn all the way to November, which is basically the interagency saying this fire has plenty of fuel, and while we will work on getting some containment around it, the reality is it will burn until the rainy season puts it out at some point in November. And it is the main, as I mentioned, smoke producer. Now, the air quality reports across our state haven't been bad today. All green is good in the Willamette Valley and at the coast, and the yellow dots in central and eastern Oregon are moderate, which is not as bad as they were 24 hours ago. There's that smoke plume showing up on our smoke modeling from the Immigrant Fire, the one in southeastern Lane County. This is south of Bend, and really it's only showing thick wildfire smoke in terms of a plume in somewhat close proximity to that fire. It's a lighter wildfire haze as you work up across the rest of our state. It is the first day of September, which is also known as the first day of meteorological fall, the months of September, October, November. So this caught my eye. The NOAA outlook for September has all of western Washington and much of western Oregon in the above normal precipitation outlook department. That would mean for us to be above normal rainfall in Portland that we would get more than 1.5 inches of total rain through the 30-day period. NOAA is projecting this above normal area in the northern Rockies, but for Oregon and Washington, no confidence to say warm or cold, but you would surmise if we get some decent little episodes of rainy weather, that would obviously help keep temperatures down. Hey, our newest camera is along the beautiful Vancouver waterfront. If you've never been, you got to check it out when you come down this way. This is from the Springs at the waterfront, a retirement community setting along the Columbia River, and we're looking out at the cloudy skies this morning. Downtown Portland has seen a similar scene, partly cloudy up over Mount Hood from our Timberline camera. The coast looking at least for partial clearing in the afternoon with temperatures in the 60s. And as I mentioned, the valley will be comfortably in the low 80s this afternoon. Morning clouds, afternoon sun, kind of our typical setup, right? Here's the big map. It does show 90s in central and eastern Oregon today, nothing extreme, but a lot of you folks, including the Dalles out into Pendleton, will see a jolt up to about 100 degrees starting tomorrow. Portland 82 today. We get a jolt up to about 90 on Tuesday, about the same on Wednesday into Thursday, and I'm eyeing 2 thunderstorm possibilities this week. One of them is Wednesday, and the second one is Saturday.
Thanks, Rod. And a similar jolt will be felt in western Washington as well. Meteorologist Rich Marriott is in Seattle with a look at the little bit of a warm up or jolt heading our way to western Washington.
Hi, I'm King 5 meteorologist Rich Marriott, and so far it's been a pretty good Labor Day weekend around western Washington. We've seen comfortable temperatures. We've had a little bit of smoke haze, but up at elevation it's giving us some strange lighting, but overall it's been comfortable temperatures, and we hit 76 degrees, in fact, out of the airport yesterday. One significant thing on the almanac is the sunrise time this morning, which was at 6:29, and that'll be our last pre-6:30 sunrise for quite a while, which means it's going to be getting, at the other end of that, it's getting dark much earlier too, and that's maybe not all that bad because, well, and not all that unexpected, because we're just 3 weeks, exactly 3 weeks from today to the autumnal equinox when we make that switch on to fall. So it's just counting down to that. It keeps getting less and less daylight each day. It's just really noticeable this time of the year because the rate of change is so quick. But having more darkness, not necessarily bad right now. We actually had a pretty good flare on the sun a couple days ago that sent out a coronal mass ejection, which a lot of protons, a cloud of those headed towards the Earth, which is going to run into the Earth's magnetic field a little bit later on today. When that happens, it's going to be generating some aurora, it looks like, and the Space Weather Prediction Center is forecasting a G2 to G3, so a moderate geomagnetic storm, which is going to be producing aurora. And you can see, if you look carefully, you can see the thin red line. That's the farthest south extent that you'll be able to see the aurora, and that's well down. It's down around Vancouver, Washington for us. So if you're up in the northern portion of western Washington particularly, you should have a pretty good shot at being able to see those aurora tonight. It drops off quite a bit as we head towards tomorrow night, though. So for your best chance of seeing the aurora, you want to move away from city lights. Basically, the darker your sky, the better your viewing is going to be in being able to see some dimmer aurora. And you want a wide view of that northern sky, because sometimes it's going to be pretty low on the horizon. So if you've got a good clear view, better chance of picking it up. And finally, the geomagnetic storm looks to be peaking roughly between about 11 p.m. tonight and 2 a.m. But pretty much any time after it's dark tonight until sunrise tomorrow, you're going to have a shot at seeing some auroras going on. So that's pretty exciting. We haven't seen many of those in the recent months. Looking out this morning, one thing we have seen is some morning low clouds. That's been out there this morning. We've seen a lot of marine deck clouds out there and a little bit of fog kind of mixed in spots as well. You see that there at Everett's Payne Field at mid-morning today, and out at the airport at SEA, not quite as bad. They've got just a low ceiling out there, but that should begin to burn off mid to late morning just about everywhere. Out there along the coast at Westport, also a cloudy morning, and they should see a little bit of late day clearing, so everybody should get a little bit of sunshine here on this Labor Day. That 7-day first alert forecast, you can see we're going to see more sunshine, warmer temperatures as we head towards the middle part of the week. We're probably going to max out Wednesday. Maybe it'll hold off until Thursday, but get into the low with just a few mid-80s, so we don't really overshoot temperature-wise, which is good news with a lot of kids going back to school this week. And on towards the weekend, we do see a little bit more morning cloudiness and gradually cool back to the mid-70s as we head towards that first weekend of September. You can see on the satellite image in the visible light, you can just see the marine deck pretty much filling in everything, including all the river valleys around. You see the Olympics sticking out and the Cascades sticking out from the low clouds and fog. But again, that's going to burn back to the coast by a little bit later on today. We checked the upper level of roughly 6,000 feet and up in terms of our wildfire smoke. See, there's quite a bit of wildfire smoke up at elevation. We had this weekend. That's what gave us kind of the strange lighting conditions, and that's going to be sticking with us today and tomorrow. The good news is that the lower levels, right where we live and breathe, you can see it's only in the light blue, so it's very light smoke, really not having much effect. And if you're away from the wildfires themselves, not having much effect on the air quality. Looking to be mostly good air quality today, with a few places dropping to moderate, and then tomorrow we're pretty much looking at everybody having good air quality, so that's definitely good news. Take a look at our forecast then. Overall for today, clouds and fog should give way to sunshine this afternoon. High temperatures today getting into the mid to upper 70s most spots. Tomorrow will be a few degrees warmer, a little bit more sunshine in the afternoons, and then sunny and warm Wednesday into Thursday. We'll see those temperatures in the upper 70s to low to maybe a few mid 80s. We'll cool just a little bit as we head into Friday, and then over that weekend, look for morning clouds and afternoon sun. Otherwise, generally partly sunny, highs in the mid 70s. And as we head on to that second week of September, we cool just a little bit more, but we still stay in the low 70s.
Thanks, Rich. Not a bad start to September. All right, we have walked you through your weather out west, but we still need to take a look at the big picture. Still ahead after the break, we will have a check on your national forecast. Welcome back to Weather Out West. Time now to take a check of our national forecast. Meteorologist Julie Martin joins us now with a look at the national temperatures this Labor Day Monday, plus who has the threat of severe weather, and also a check of the tropics.
Well, happy Labor Day to you. For the holiday, it does look like we'll stay relatively cool and comfortable across most of the eastern half of the U.S. Heating up, though, in the Northwest. That's where we could see some record-setting temperatures in places like Oregon and Washington, and then a few scattered storms possible across the central and southern U.S., but no severe weather expected for the holiday. Starting in the west, as I mentioned, very hot from Spokane to Boise. We have the high 90s, so you could be seeing some records fall well over the next couple of days. Hot in Sacramento as well at 104. Phoenix, you'll be at 108. Comfortable in Denver with the 80s, and across Texas we've got the 90s. Really nice weather though around the Great Lakes. That's where we have the 70s near 80 degrees all the way from Minneapolis really over toward Cleveland, and even in the deep south, Atlanta, Charlotte, Jacksonville, you'll be in the 80s. So a very comfortable holiday. Hopefully you can get out and enjoy that. The real heat's going to be confined here in the west. That's where we've got the excessive heat watches and warnings in Oregon and Washington state. Extreme heat here in the central California valleys as well. That's where those triple-digit feels-like temperatures will be in play. So take it easy out there. The severe weather threat is low, as I mentioned. We will see some scattered thunderstorms stretching anywhere from, say, the central U.S. to the southern plains. Florida, you could get a few storms. Also in through the desert southwest, the monsoon starts to kick up. That's going to produce a few storms. No severe weather expected, though, for the holiday. So good news there. Good news for the tropics as well. We're watching one area here, as is the National Hurricane Center, in yellow off the African coast. This has about a 30% chance of development over the next week, but beyond that, it does not look very favorable. So the tropics are taking a pause for now. Of course, the peak of tropical hurricane season is typically around September 10th. So we're getting pretty close to that, but quiet, so to speak, right now. All right, let's take you region by region. As I mentioned, hot there in the west. That's where we've got those 90s in Spokane, Boise, Portland. Really warm temperatures there. That goes for you in the Sacramento Valley as well as Phoenix. Denver, San Diego, comfortable weather over the next few days for you with those 80s. In Dallas, we're going to see the high 80s. Everyone else here staying pretty warm south of Dallas and Texas with the mid 90s. Across the deep south, not too bad. Little Rock around 85. Atlanta, you'll be in the 80s, so a few degrees below average. Tampa, you heat up to around 90 on Tuesday. In New Orleans, you'll be in the 90s. Really pleasant here around the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest, the Mid-South also looking good with the 70s and 80s. Really pleasant there in the Twin Cities. In fact, by Wednesday, you're going to be in the 60s. We've got a front that's going to be dropping in from Canada. That's going to bring some really cool air, and we will really feel that even in the central U.S. as we head throughout the week. From New England to the Mid-Atlantic, also looking very comfortable with the 70s. Enjoy your day.
Thanks so much. And Julie did mention the tropical activity in the Atlantic, but I do want to also point out in the Pacific, we do actually have a tropical storm Kiko that has formed. This is kind of south of Mexico, about halfway between Hawaii and Mexico as of right now. And as we head into the next couple of days, Kiko is expected to strengthen to a hurricane. So we'll keep an eye on that through about Thursday or so. Plus, we actually do have a disturbance that has formed much closer to the coast of Mexico. In fact, this one is a disturbance at this point, but does have a 90% chance of cyclone formation in the next 7 days. And that being much closer to Mexico would have a much higher impact. So we will definitely keep an eye on the Pacific Ocean as well as the Atlantic Ocean. Well, still ahead after the break. An ocean treasure rebuilt in California. After the break, we'll show you the coral comeback at the Birch Aquarium in San Diego. Welcome back. San Diego doesn't have coral reefs. Most of them are in the tropics, but West Coast residents and visitors now can see coral reefs up close and personal thanks to newly remodeled Birch Aquarium in San Diego. Netta Iranpour took a dive into what the coral care team created out of small fragments.
The new Adam R. Scripps Living Seas Gallery is open now, and as you stroll through the 38 different habitats, be sure to give yourself extra time to take this all in.
I see some grooves right there. Yeah. There's one.
The tropical Pacific coral habitat showcases one of the most vibrant parts of our planet.
There's so much color and movement And I think that really attracts folks. And then, of course, when they see Dory, that's huge for the kids.
The coral care team at Birch hauled in 4.5 tons of rock. Associate curator Fernando Nosratpur has been helping create exhibits at the Birch Aquarium since he started here in 1991.
Put filters together and gather fish, collect fish, and make the habitats.
An SDSU grad who's been growing coral, not just for Birch, but for other aquariums and for researchers at Scripps Institution of Oceanography.
Some of them were tiny fragments, maybe 1 inch, and now they've grown huge. This one that's forming a table here was just about 4 inches in diameter when we got it about 6-7 years ago.
In the wild, when coral grows, it provides more room for fish and other animals to live. They like hiding in the many nooks and crannies to avoid predators.
Tell me what it's like for you to be here and see this exhibit coming through and actually here now.
To have this new exhibit is exciting for us. I think the goal was to try to make it immersive, so you feel like you are diving and get to see a reef.
For a truly immersive experience, watch where you step. As you're taking in all the sights, also listen for the sounds. This right here is the sound of pistol shrimp, the crackling. That's how they sound underwater.
Well, you might not be able to see or hear the current. Fernando made sure the water flow is similar to what these corals would need in the open ocean.
You'll see corals that are branching, that require a lot of light, a lot of water flow, and as you move through, you'll go to the lagoon end. And so you see a giant clam.
Fun fact, corals are animals, relatives of jellyfish and sea anemone.
Each one of these corals has tiny little polyps, just like a sea anemone, but they're really tiny. So they can also grab food out of the water, plankton.
The bright colors come from the algae in their tissue.
What do you hope this teaches people that come by and look and learn about it?
Well, our hope is that they see the colors, the beauty, and the diversity of life in here, and how beautiful these coral reefs are. And when you hear about coral bleaching or problems with different reefs, hopefully it reminds you of what it can be and what we might be able to do to help save coral reefs.
This exhibit is proof when given a healthy environment, more growth will come.
I think a year from now it'll be very different, and then 5 years from now, just amazing, yeah.
Another reason to keep coming back.
Exactly, exactly, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I love it.
For Earth 8 at the Birch Aquarium in La Jolla, I'm Netta Iranpour.
That does it for us here on Weather Out West. Have a safe and happy Labor Day Monday. We'll be back here tomorrow.